Well, right now you have Fidel from the Upper West Side.
Fidel.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a famous name. You're welcome.
How are you?
I'm very well. Fidel Castro is a good friend of mine.
I hear that.
He took his final bow, perhaps, yesterday.
Yes, I saw that, and that's precisely why I'm calling you.
Go on.
Well, I was raised in this country. I was born in Cuba. Half of my family is still there, and they have gone through incredible hardships. My uncle had to have a prosthesis in this country because the Cuban government would not replace it. My family cannot come and visit me whenever they'd like to. So my question to you is, why is this? I just want to understand what you mean when you say this person is a good friend of mine and you ring so many praises upon him.
Yeah. Viva Fidel, and I don't mean you. I mean the other Fidel.
Okay,
Viva
tell me why?
Fidel. I'll tell you why, and thanks for calling. I really
you're welcome.
I really do like to be challenged on these things. The average life expectancy of the people of Cuba, a poor third world country, is higher than it is in the United States. Infant mortality, that is the number of young babies and small children under the age of 12 months who die, is lower in Cuba than it is in the United States of America. Cuba was a bordello, a casino and a bordello for the American criminal class before the triumph of the Cuban Revolution. Cuba has written its name in the stars under the leadership of Fidel Castro. You go around Africa, you go around the third world, you talk about the achievements of the health service in Cuba. You watch Michael Moore's movie, Sicko, and compare and contrast the health service in Cuba with the health service in the United States, and you'll begin to get some measure of the man. Now, Fidel, there have been many mistakes made, and Raul and Fidel acknowledge those mistakes. But if your family are not able to visit you as often as they would like,
no, they never
trust
can.
me, well, that's not the fault of Cuba. That's the fault of the U.S. interest section in Cuba, which deliberately blocks people seeking visas to come and visit the United States. The reason you can't send money is because of the restrictions imposed by the United States. Let's drop the embargo. Let's reach out and shake hands across the Florida Straits and let 1,000 flowers bloom. The historic leadership in Cuba, by the march of time, will soon be gone. A new relationship needs to develop. You could buy that, can't you?
I agree with everything you have said. I have seen Michael Moore's movie. I am one of the few, I think, liberal Cubans, and I get chastised by my Cuban brethren because of my willingness to accept what you have just said. However, the point still remains that I don't think I've ever heard the acknowledgement of the mistakes from the brothers, and that would be something that would make me come more to that side of understanding what has gone on. I understand that the United States has not played fair with Cuba, but on the other hand, there have been so many restrictions, and there is an elite class in Cuba that exists if you participate in the government, and the local people, like here, get to live in squalor, pretty much.
No, I don't actually buy that last point, Fidel. I was very grateful for the previous points that you just made. But I don't buy that last point. Let me tell you something. The last time I was in Cuba, for any length of time, researching my book on Fidel, which is called the Fidel Castro Handbook, I was living in a very, very lower mid-market block of apartments. My next-door neighbor in this lower mid-market block of apartments was the son of Ernesto Che Guevara. He got up for work at 6 o'clock in the morning every day. I used to meet him in the lift. He earned $30 per month. That's not elite living, my friend. And if the son of Che Guevara is not part of the elite, when his father's memory is revered by hundreds of millions of people around the world who could go on tour tomorrow, I could organize it. I could put the son of Che Guevara on tour tomorrow for the rest of his life, living in 5-star hotels and getting honoraria at every stop, but he goes to work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs like any other government servant every day, and he gets $30 a month.
I have one last question.
Well, let me make one last point
Okay.
then. Where you will get a privileged class now is the fact that Cuba is having to adopt certain aspects of the capitalist economic system.
Correct.
That's where you'll get the privileges.
Which makes me very fearful, because I see it coming, how they're opening up for new markets, and I can hear the talk. However, I have one last question. If it is so great, why are so many people risking their lives constantly to get out of there?
Well, why are so many people not doing that, but content to stay there?
Because they're afraid.
Even amongst the elite. No. Teofilo Stevenson was the greatest heavyweight, other than Muhammad Ali, that ever lived. Stevenson could have defected on any one of the hundreds of overseas visits that he went, as could Alberto Juan Torino, the great middle-distance runner. They and Dame Alicia Alonso and hundreds, thousands of other cultural and sporting elite Cubans who never left Cuba, who always went back to Cuba. And the vast majority of Cubans stay there because, like you, I suspect, they love their country.
Oh,
they may have political differences, but they love their country.
Well, I think that there's still a lot more research that needs to be done before the verdict is finally
You're
handed
right,
out.
Fidel. You've got a lot more research still to do. But I'm glad that you learned something here today. Thanks very much for calling me. I appreciate it very much indeed. That was Fidel from New York City, 212-209-2900. That's the number to call. This is George Galloway. This is the mother of all talk shows.
There are known knowns.